Hi, I'm Adrianna Soverall, reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, here with another episode of Social and You, where I talk candidly with persons about social matters affecting the British Virgin Islands. Today, I'm interviewing Ms. Helen Frett, Director of BVI Red Cross, and Lorolie Connor, a trained facilitator of the program Stewards of Children. So welcome to the program, ladies. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. So we're here to talk about the Stewards of Children Programme. What is that exactly?
Well, the Steward of Children's Program is a prevention program. It's a very innovative program that was designed specifically to help adults recognize, prevent, and act responsibly to child sexual abuse. And it's a program that would give you the experiences of persons who have been abused and how they dealt with their abuse, to give adults a better understanding of what child sexual abuse does to children, as well as creating an atmosphere where you see the urgency as an adult to become part of the prevention movement to stop persons from abusing children sexually.
Now, when you say things like prevention, can you emphasize, because someone would say, what's the difference between this program and something else that would maybe a call to action for persons to report child sexual abuse?
Well, when we say prevention, Stewards of Children look specifically at developing or devising policies, codes of conduct, looking at areas that you probably need to tighten up, especially if you're in childcare, like daycares, anyone dealing with children on a whole. There are things that you probably didn't even look at that could be possibly an area where someone can child sexually. So it really opens your eyes in terms of giving you ideas as to how to begin to look at situations in that setting where there's a lot of children or you're responsible for children.
Right. So I just went straight into the program. I didn't really introduce both of your roles. We have Ms. Frett and Ms. Connor. Ms. Frett, you are the director of BVI Red Cross. What is their role in facilitating this program?
Well, the Red Cross is going to be the organizer for this program, and we're working with partners in the community along with the Ministry of Health in getting the information out about child sexual abuse prevention. So we're going to be focusing on the educational part of it.
So, well, besides your role, what is the connection with the Ministry of Health? And I know UNICEF also plays a role. What is everyone's role totally?
Okay, I introduced this concept to the community at a workshop at a college, and the Ministry of Health, they were there, persons were there from the Ministry of Health, and the permanent secretary told me that she was interested, and she sought some funding to help to assist us in getting this program into the community because she recognized that there is a great need. And at the time, they were trying to get some funding from UNICEF for some other projects, and so that was included in the funding proposal. And so we got some funding from UNICEF to organize this training. The training is going to involve running some Stewards of Children workshops, as well as training 25 facilitators to organize this training. Ms. Connor was sent by the Red Cross to the Cayman Islands to learn to become a facilitator. And so since she's back, she's been organizing and implementing some of these training courses. We had a training course in Virgin Gorda this week, and that was well received. We had one for 25 police recruits, as well as next week we're going to be running it for some guidance counselors, police officers, and some school teachers and social workers here on Tortola.
Now, I see you kind of listed off some different segments of the population, like the police and school teachers. Is there a target audience for this training, or it could be anybody?
For right now, we're looking for persons who work with youth. Such as the guidance counselors, teachers, police officers, social workers. Eventually it will be opened out to more persons in the community, but for right now we're trying to select persons we could use as facilitators when we do that training in August.
All right. So, Ms. Connor, tell us about your experience when you were trained and now your expectation as a facilitator.
Well, my experience was very enlightening, and I've been a social worker for years, but it really helped me to look at child sexual abuse from a different perspective in terms of prevention, and having that responsibility of preventing it squarely on the shoulders of adults and adults securing children. So the training experience in Cayman was a real eye-opener for me, and I am actually very happy to be part of the program that we're implementing here. The training so far have been very receptive. Persons have been receptive to the concept, and again, it has been very eye-opening to them as well. We've done some sessions in Virgin Gorda, well, one session in Virgin Gorda, and we've also trained 24 of the police recruits, the new recruits that they have.
Now, when you train anyone to be a part of this program, what are the requirements? Is there something, besides them having to work with children, is there something else that is required of them? And a part of the session, what else is expected of them once they are trained?
Well, what's expected of them is you have to be an adult or someone who can be placed in a position of responsibility. And you also have to have, if you're going to become a facilitator, there's a extended background check that's done on you. Your information is verified and checked thoroughly. That's for facilitators, not just the persons who want to be informed if they work in an organization. But if you're actually applying to become a facilitator, there's a different set of procedure that needs to be followed. So I guess Helen would further go into that, because I know with me I had to give reference letters. They checked every reference. They called everyone. They needed a police report. There was a list that was given to us that we needed to fulfill before being accepted to become facilitators, and it was BVI and Anguilla at the time in the training in Cayman.
So, Ms. Frett, you said your goal at least is it the goal for this year to have at least 25 facilitators?
Yeah, well, this year, well, I don't think BVI is a small place. I don't think we need more than 25, but we'll be training hundreds of persons in Stewards of Children, and the expectation is that they would help to protect our children from being abused. So that's why we want to get the information out, educate persons, because it is well known that persons who are predators, who are child sexual abusers, they tend to get into organizations where they have access to children. And so we want to be able to let persons know what is going on. And also when we choose facilitators, we want to make sure that they are not abusers themselves. And that is why we do extensive background checks on them. And it's important for us to know that our children are safe with individuals when we put them under their care.
I was about to say, well, in the future, I kind of see this program, maybe Ministry of Education taking it, or partnering with BVI Red Cross and the Ministry of Health, and it just becoming this, like a standard, even for teachers, like to go through that extensive background check when working with children.
Well, actually, we're hoping to get there.
Yes.
Once we start this step, later on, we're hoping to do something that is called a seal of protection, where organizations have to have certain policies and procedures in place in dealing with children. And once they have, it's something like the safe school, where you have these certain standards. Yes, so they have a seal. They actually get a seal. Yes, right. Yes, so to say that they are an environment safe for children. And so that is something that we will get into later, where we will invite different organizations to partner with us and have meetings on a regular basis to form policies and work on different scenarios to deal with this situation. In the Cayman Islands, the government has recognized this training and has so much respect for it that any organization in the Cayman Islands dealing with children has to do this training. Okay. Everybody that deals with children has to do this training.
I think it's a good initiative, and I myself Any parent, I think, would look forward to something like that. It gives you a sense of comfort a little bit. Like, if I go to this school, it has this seal. Like, oh, of course. If I go to this school and it doesn't, no. Why wouldn't you have the seal? Why wouldn't you go out your way to make sure that everyone is compliant?
It was interesting, that when I went down there, one of the things that they were focusing on, because summer was coming up, was getting policies in place for camps. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is really important, because you would think, okay, it's just a place to have the kids when you're at work, but then they identified to the government why they needed to have all persons who are going to have camps trained in Stewards of Children. And I thought that was just amazing that they went that far to push for this to be done in Cayman.
I agree. Ms. Frett, you were about to say something?
Yes,
Darkness to Light is a grassroots non-profit organization based in Charleston, South Carolina, and they aim to protect children from child sexual abuse by placing the responsibility on adults to protect children.
So their mandate is only to end child sexual abuse?
Yes, and so they organize these series of training, including the Steward of Children.
Oh, so the Stewards of Children is just one program that they offer, but they offer many?
Yes.
So at some point, too, maybe we could tap into the other programs and then...
Yes.
All right. That sounds good to me. No, you mentioned that this is an adult program, but I know sometimes when persons or adolescents, they leave high school at age 16 and 17, they consider themselves adults. So is there an age requirement as well? Or it's over 18? What is the age requirement to be considered an adult to be a part of this program?
Initially, we thought on 18, but we know that there are younger persons who head youth organizations, youth groups, and as long as they are dealing with youth, then we would want them trained in this program.
So is there anything else you would like to add, ladies, as we wrap up?
I would like to talk about some of the statistics that I came across.
Yes!
Why it's important for us to have this training in the BVI. I found out that in 2008, the Caribbean Health Research Council did a survey in 9 English-speaking Caribbean countries among teens 10 to 18 years old, and they interviewed 15,000 respondents. They found that of those who were sexually active, 31.9% of young men and 47.6% of young women reported that their first sexual intercourse was forced. And 54.8% of sexually active males and 23.5% of sexually active females reported they were 10 years old or younger at the time of their first intercourse. And I think that is significant. And I know that child sexual abuse happens here in the BVI. We don't talk about it, but it needs to come out, and we need to deal with it because children are suffering in silence.
Ms. Connor, do you have any final words?
Yes, I'd like to encourage the public who are dealing with any situation where they're dealing with children or responsible for children in organizations to take 2 hours. 2 hours can save a child. So just 2 hours. The Steward of Children program is just 2 hours. So give that 2 hours to implement some preventative measures within your organization.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me today. That was an awesome interview. I'm hoping that persons feel inclined to be a part of the program if they know they're a youth leader, or if they're part of the church, or if they're having any type of contact with children, and if maybe they know people or groups that have contact with youth or young adults, young children, that they would want to take this program and possibly become a facilitator to carry on the message and prevent child sexual abuse. Again, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
That was BVI Red Cross Director, Ms. Helen Frett, and trained facilitator of the Stewards of Children Programme, Ms. Lorolie Connor. If you or someone you know would be interested in taking part in the training, please contact the BVI Red Cross at 494-6349. To view this program and any other government news, please subscribe to us on our YouTube page at the Government of the Virgin Islands or like us on Facebook. at the Government of the Virgin Islands. Again, I'm Adrianna Soverall, reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, and this has been Social and You. Until next time, thank you for tuning in.